Hello and welcome. You're watching Today in Parliament with me, Aishwarya, and these are the Parliament headlines. General discussion on union budget to continue in Lok Sabha. Finance Minister expected to reply to debate. Rajya Sabha to also begin discussion on union budget. Key bills: the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill 2019 and the Central Universities Amendment Bill 2019 listed in today's business in the Lok Sabha for consideration and passage. Also in the Lok Sabha, Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri to move motions to elect members to the Tea Board, Coffee Board, Spice Board and Marine Products Export Development Authority. First, a look at the legislative business in the Lok Sabha today. Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad will move for consideration and passing the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill 2019. The bill was introduced in the lower house last week and it seeks to establish an autonomous and independent institution for better management of arbitration in our country. It will replace an ordinance that was issued in March, which seeks to provide for the establishment of the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre, or the NDIAC, to conduct arbitration, mediation and conciliation proceedings. It also declares the NDIAC as an institution of national importance. Also, the Central Universities Amendment Bill 2019 to amend the Central Universities Act 2009 will be moved for consideration and passage. It aims to set up a central university and a tribal university in Andhra Pradesh in order to increase access and quality of higher education, and also promotes avenues of higher education for the people of the state of Andhra Pradesh. The bill was introduced by Union Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank on Monday. And the House will also continue with the general discussion on union budget. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is expected to reply in the House after the conclusion of the debate. Meanwhile, a general discussion on union budget will begin in Rajya Sabha today. Let's get all the updates. Kriti Mishra is now joining us live from Parliament. A very good morning, Kriti. Kriti, speaking about Lok Sabha, Karnataka political crisis, reverberated in Lok Sabha yesterday, and we saw Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also making a statement. And today, BJP has issued a three-line whip to its Lok Sabha MPs, asking them to be present in the House today. And key legislative businesses also lined up. Of course, discussion on the union budget is also expected to continue. What all things you think is going to happen in Lok Sabha today?
But Aishwarya, in the Lok Sabha also the Congress has accused the BJP of fomenting trouble in the coalition government of Karnataka. But Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has already distanced the government as well as the party from any political turmoil in Karnataka and said that the matter is the internal matter of the Congress party. Now today, the general discussion on union budget is expected to resume, and that will conclude with the reply of Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Remember, the government has set the agenda of making India a $5 trillion economy by the year 2024. In the budget, it had laid down 10-point vision to actually achieve that target, whether it is about truncating the fiscal deficit or investing in infrastructure, agriculture or industry or propelling exports. So Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman would seek to actually dispel and assuage the concerns raised by the members during the discussion on union budget, whether it is about inflationary concerns or about slowdown in the GDP. So several members have already participated in the discussion, and today that discussion would conclude, and it is expected that the voting on demands for grants would take place next week. And also important bills are lined up in the Lok Sabha, the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre and also the Central Universities Amendment Bill. So important agenda in the lower house today. Aishwarya?
And Kriti, speaking about Rajya Sabha, uproar by Congress over developments in Karnataka has stalled the proceedings yesterday, with practically no business actually being conducted in the House. And today, the discussion on union budget is going to be commenced. How do you look at the day panning out in Rajya Sabha?
Well, in the Rajya Sabha over the last 13 days, we've seen extremely productive session, whether it is in the first half, wherein all zero-hour submissions, special mentions and also maximum start questions are taken up. And even in the second half, we've seen several bills getting passed by the Rajya Sabha. But yesterday, we saw the disruptions in the House. The chairman had clarified that the issue raised by the TMC on the issue of disinvestment of PSUs has already been raised in the Rajya Sabha. And according to the rules, issue raised in the House cannot be raised again in the same session. And the chairman had also rejected the notice tendered by the Congress members on the issue of political turmoil in Karnataka. So today, a very important discussion, which is the general discussion on union budget, is expected to take place in the upper house. And also remember, senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram is expected to initiate this discussion. So important day, and let's hope that semblance of peace prevails in the upper house today. Aishwarya?
All right. Hoping that semblance of peace, that happens in the upper house after the day was actually washed out in Rajya Sabha. Thank you so much, Kriti, for all those updates there from Parliament. And now a look at some of the ministers who will be laying papers on the table concerning their ministries in the Rajya Sabha today. Dharmendra Pradhan for the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Hardeep Singh Puri for the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Fagan Singh Kulaste for the Ministry of Steel. Krishan Pal for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. G. Kishan Reddy for the Ministry of Home Affairs. Nityanand Rai for the Ministry of Home Affairs. And Fagan Singh Kulaste is also going to make a statement regarding the status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 48th report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Coal and Steel on CSR activities in Steel PSUs 2018-19 pertaining to the Ministry of Steel. And Nityanand Rai is going to make a statement regarding the status of implementation of recommendations contained in the 216th report of the Department-related Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs on the cyclone Oki, its impact on fishermen and the damage caused by it. And a look at some of the ministers who will be laying their papers on the table concerning their ministries in the Lok Sabha today. Narendra Singh Tomar for the Ministry of Panchayati Raj. Ravi Shankar Prasad for the Ministry of Law and Justice. Piyush Goyal for the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Dharmendra Pradhan for the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. Rao Inderjeet Singh for the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation and the Ministry of Planning. And following ministers will make statements in the House. Prahlad Joshi on the status of implementations of observations contained in the Standing Committee report on coal and steel on review of function of Coal Mines Provident Fund Organization. Hardeep Singh Puri on the status of implementation of recommendations contained in the Standing Committee report on commerce on demands for grants pertaining to the Department of Commerce, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Som Prakash will make a statement on the status of implementation of the recommendations contained in the Standing Committee report on commerce on steps taken by the government on demands for grants pertaining to the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. And Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri will also move motions for the election of members to the Tea Board, Coffee Board, Spice Board and Marine Products Export Development Authority. And that's it in this edition of Today in Parliament. Do stay tuned. The proceedings of the Upper House are going to begin in a short while from now at 11 a.m. Thanks for watching.